everybody, this is Allie. Welcome back to my channel, Color Mama 360. I'm excited to have you here today. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I am going to be talking about places that I personally have been able to find adult coloring books in person, whether it's to look at them, to buy them, just to go shop and have some fun. In general, there aren't always a lot of options, and so I wanted to make this video just to kind of give you some places to go look. Now, these places aren't always the best option of where to buy the books. You can usually get them cheaper other places, but I do like to take advantage of being able to see books in person when possible. While I'm talking about this, I'm going to be working on my Moana page from the Princess Kawaii Mega Pact by Kevin Teo Art, and I am using Prismacolor pencils. Right now, I am just getting started on working on these flowers. So while I'm talking about this, I'm just going to be working on this picture. I'll have a few different things pop up on the screen as well that are related to what I'm talking about. So to start off, like I said, at least here in the US, and this video is going to be pretty US based because that's where I'm located, so I can't really speak for other countries, but here in the US, options to find adult coloring books in person are usually pretty limited. Now, when I do have some time, if I'm just feeling like going and exploring, there are a few select stores that I would choose to go to first because they typically have at least some options. The first one, and these aren't necessarily in the order that I would choose to go, but the first one does typically have one of the larger selections, and that's Barnes and Noble booksellers. Now, as far as I know, Barnes and Noble is throughout the country. They are a chain bookstore, um, like I said, throughout the US. And I have found quite a few coloring books at these stores in person. However, the price is usually not great. I almost never bought a book from Barnes and Noble because their prices are usually a lot more than Amazon for the same book. And when you're trying to color on a budget, it just doesn't make sense. However, I do like to go look at books in person here because I do think that there are some books that you just need to see in person. So, one example is for a really long time, I did not want to get Dark Fairy Tales by Kirby Rosanis because the flip throughs that I had seen just weren't really, it didn't look like something I would want to color. I wasn't really interested. However, I did find this book at Barnes and Noble, and after looking at it in person, that changed. And I was influenced a little bit by my husband as well because he loved the book. But I definitely changed my opinion about whether or not it was a book I would color in once I saw it in person. So I would say that Barnes and Noble usually has a Kirby book or two, or more than two. You can usually find Johanna Basford, of course. I did see a Maria Troll book there once. I believe it was Universe. Again, price wise, I personally, it wouldn't make sense for me to buy that book um, from there. But I was able to see that book in person, and I hardly ever get to see those books in person before purchasing them. You can also usually find some Lulu Mayo books and then maybe some other popular but not as talked about artists. My husband actually did purchase a Camellia Derrico book for me from Barnes and Noble. Um, it was one that I saw and asked, put on a wish list, like asked for, but um, yeah, I would say that Barnes and Noble probably has the biggest variety of book options if you're wanting to see books in person. Now, they're not going to have like R.J. Hampson. I personally have never seen a Christine Caron book at Barnes and Noble, but maybe others have. Um, they're not going to have Hannah Carlzon, anything kind of in that realm. I mostly see Johanna Basford, Kirby Roseanne's, Lulu Mayo. I'm trying to think of what else I've seen. Mythographics. I do see Mythographics at Barnes and Noble a lot. So yeah, Barnes and Noble is a great option if you're wanting to go look at the books in person, but I would not personally for me, I would not buy books from there just because they tend to be priced higher than other options. So that's the first place. The second place is Michael's, the craft store. I believe this is also throughout the US. If you don't know what Michael's is, it's just a craft store. They have a bunch of different types of craft things. Um, Again, this is a place that I always, if I'm wanting to go look at books, I'll go here, see what they have. I wouldn't say I've ever seen anything super crazy. However, I don't see a lot of Coloring Heavens in person, but when I do see them, it's at Michael's. And for the first time, I saw one that was like newer. I saw the 2025 Christmas special at Michael's over the holiday. So that was the first time I've ever seen a newer one there. But they do have Coloring Heavens there sometimes. Mythographics I've seen there. Lulu Mayo I've seen there. Um, there's another artist that I'm thinking of that I see there all the time, and I can't think of her name. I don't personally own any of her books. If I think of it while I'm editing, I will put her name up on the screen. I can almost like see it in my head, but I don't want to say it wrong because then you'll have no idea who I'm talking about. So if I remember, I will try to put that up on the screen. But their variety really differs store to store. There's one store by me that has like a way better variety than the next closest store. So it's kind of hit or miss, but I personally, again, have never I don't think I've ever bought a book from Michael's because they're usually priced high again, higher than I can get them off Amazon. Um, but it's a great place to go get an idea of what books look like in person. Um, and every once in a while, you might find something unique, like the Coloring Heaven that I saw. I did not end up buying that one, but I almost did. I was very, very close to buying that one. The next one is Target. Now, Target is a fantastic place to buy books online. I probably will be buying a lot more books online because you can get Teresa Goodrich, R.J. Hampson, Kirby Roseanne, you can get a lot of artists from Target online. However, Target in store, not awesome. But every once in a while, I do find some books there. If the last few times I've been there haven't been any options at all. But if there are options, it's usually Kirby Roseanne's or Johanna Basford. I did find the Harry Potter Sweets and Treats book there. And I've shown that one on the channel. I think a couple other people have gotten that book as well, and I think from Target. It might only be available at Target, I'm not sure. But I did buy that book there. And then when I replaced some books in my collection and had them spiral bound, I bought all my Johanna Basford and Kirby Roseanne books from Target because they do I guess buy two get one free, and they do that a couple times a year. I mean, I feel like they did that twice last year, just between, I don't know, like the 1st of October and Christmas. So it's always a good idea to keep an eye out for that. You can also get Lulu Mayo books online. I haven't really seen any in person at mine. And you can pre-order books as well, and pre-orders count when they're having that um, Sorry, guys, I was just taking a phone call. I believe I was still talking on and on about Target, but yeah, Target's a great option to buy books online. Like I said, they have a good variety. They do that sale multiple times a year. Pre-orders count towards that. So if there's, two books that you're wanting to buy and then maybe not a third, you could use the third slot to pre-order a book. Um, whatever, you're wanting to do. So I, like I said, I will probably be buying a lot of my books from Target. However, their in person selection isn't great, but every once in a while you can find some good options, especially the more popular books. If there's a more popular Johanna Basford or Kirby Roseanne's book that you don't have that you're wanting to see in person, Target might be a good option to find that book. The fourth place is Hobby Lobby. Again, I think they're throughout the US. I've heard other YouTubers comment about them on their channels, so um, I know that they're in other places. But Hobby Lobby is another craft store. I would say, at least mine, their selection is probably, I almost want to say more limited than Target in person, except for my Targets really have not even had a selection in person recently. So yeah, not sure, but they have a pretty limited selection, but you can find some books. Now, probably the best deal I've ever found at Hobby Lobby was I got A Million Baby Animals by Lulu Mail for like $6, which was cheaper than on Amazon at the time. So that was definitely a good find. Mostly they'll have Johanna Basford books. I have seen some Teresa Goodridge there. I don't think I've ever seen a Kirby Roseanne's at Hobby Lobby, but Lulu Mayo. And then they have some others that they do sell, in my opinion, what seems to be AI generated coloring books as well, which is unfortunate. Um, or, Shutterstock images as well. So, um, yeah, so they're kind of hit or miss, but I have had some good luck at Hobby Lobby as well. I did hear, I can't remember who it was. So if it was you, comment and let everybody know. But somebody found Merry Christmas at their Hobby Lobby, which I didn't have Merry Christmas by Hannah Carlson at the time, so I immediately ran to my Hobby Lobby to look for it. But uh, yeah, we did not have as great of a selection as that person, I guess. Um, so yeah, I think that again, it's hit or miss, but it's a place that if you're wanting to go look at books or you just want to spend the afternoon browsing, it's worth a stop just to see what they might have. The fifth option is Walmart. Now, again, I haven't had very good luck at Walmart recently. I don't know that I've actually bought a book at Walmart either, but Walmart sometimes has coloring books that are exclusive to Walmart. So I know that there was like the mythographic artist vault or something like that, um, that you could only get at Walmart. And so some people that don't have Walmarts in their countries, I know couldn't get that book very easily. So um, yeah, I have seen that mythographic artist edition in a Walmart. What else have I seen? I actually think I've seen some Camellia Derrico at Walmart as well, and definitely a Johanna Basford maybe at some point. Three Roseanne's, and I do see other mythographics there a lot as well. So don't think I've ever seen like a Teresa Goodridge, at least at my Walmarts. Um, but others might have a better selection. So, yeah, I've never bought from Walmart online either. So I'm not sure what their selection is like. I do prefer Target if I'm going to buy from a retailer like that. Um, But again, another place to maybe check out if you are wanting to look at books in person. So those are 5 places here in the US that I personally will go and browse if I'm wanting to look at coloring books in person, or especially if there's a popular one like dark fairy tales or something, equal in popularity, and typically pretty easily accessible or easily available, then I will go and look at these stores and see if I can find that book so that I can actually see it in person. And just as a little bit of an honorable mention before I wrap up, the sixth place that I have on here is used bookstores or consignment. Now, I know that I want to say in the UK, there's Vinted. I've heard a lot of people talk about finding books there. As far as I know, we don't have that in the US, but I do sometimes see people selling coloring books on Macari. I haven't found any like amazing deals, but eBay is where I ended up getting my copy of Seasons and Spirit Animals by Hannah Carlson, which are both out of print. And those were in like pristine condition, actually way better condition than I expected. And it did feel a little sketchy. I was not sure that I was getting what I thought I was getting, but when they arrived, they were actually in really amazing condition. And so it's always worth checking those out. And then there are obviously those wouldn't be an in-person option because those are online options, but there are used bookstores in person too. We have a few in my area that I have gone to that do sell coloring books, and a lot of used bookstores also sometimes sell new books, not just used books. So a lot of times when there are coloring books in used bookstores, they're actually brand new. They're kind of part of that. They're just mixed in with the rest of the inventory that's used. I haven't actually ever seen a used coloring book at a used bookstore. So most of the time, they're bookstores that sell both new and used books, and the coloring books are new. I haven't found any super awesome finds at any of those. There might be a couple like not as well known artists that I've seen, but nothing that's really been my style personally. However, it's always, again, worth checking out in your area because all of these places are going to be different in every single area. So, like I said, my Target hasn't had very many good options lately, but your Target might have better options. Um, all of them, Barnes and Noble, Michael's, Target, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, all of those places are going to have different selections in different areas that you go. So also when I travel, I go look at those same places even though I have them at home because their selections are typically different than what I have at home. So well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I just thought that I would give you some ideas on where to go look at books. I'm sure a lot of you already know about these places, but I just thought it would be fun to kind of talk about them and talk about what I personally have found. If you can think of any other good places that are good to go browse or see adult coloring books in person, let us know down in the comments. We could just kind of start a little area of a place to chat about different places people have found books. And I hope that if you did like this video, you will like, subscribe, and check out some of my other content. Again, today I was working on the Moana page from the Princess Kawaii Mega Pack by Kevin Teo Art. And yeah, all right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, week, month, year. Happy coloring. Bye.